Good afternoon, Tomcat Nation, and welcome to this week's edition of the Tomcat Report. My name is Garret England. The Tomcat football team took on the W&J Presidents Saturday for this year's homecoming game. Quarterback Ryan Radke led the Tomcat offense, completing 13 passes for 172 yards with 2 touchdowns, while rushing for 48 yards on 14 carries. Receivers Deshaun Bracey and Jaquan Hicks each hauled in a touchdown. Defensively, Jake Elk and Tyron Bynum led the Tomcats with 11 tackles apiece. Bynum added 3.5 tackles for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble. With the loss, the Tomcats moved to 2-3 on the season and 1-2 in the PAC. The Thiel College men's and women's golf teams competed in the PAC Fall Golf Championships. Both teams are sitting in 6th place at the conclusion of the tournament. Jason Thorpe led the Tomcats, shooting a 79 to finish tied for 16th place. Cody Hefner and Wilma Lady are currently tied for 23rd after shooting an 87 and 89. Alyssa Mondel tied for 16th place after carding a 103. The men's soccer team played 2 games last week, dropping a non-conference game to Defiance College and a conference game to Westminster. Zach Oliver and Jordan Lilly scored a goal apiece against Defiance, while Christian Conrad made 6 saves in the double overtime loss. Eric Mitchell scored the lone goal for the Tomcats, while Conrad made 8 saves in the 3-1 loss to Westminster. The women's soccer team played 2 games last week, dropping a non-conference game to Marietta and a conference game to Westminster. Kate Labos scored a pair of goals, coming in the 1st minute and the 25th minute, while Kim Gentry made 16 saves in the 3-2 loss to Marietta. Against Westminster, Labos and Emma Polinsky scored a goal apiece for the Tomcats, while Gentry made 6 saves in the 3-2 loss. The women's tennis team earned their first win of the season, defeating Waynesburg 7-2 in a PAC matchup. The Tomcats swept doubles action, while Sarah Matzik, Angela Campbell, Mercedes Corliss, and Marquette Samuels each won their respective singles matches. The men's and women's cross-country team competed at the W&J Invitational last week. The women's team finished in 6th place as a team, led by Summer Wark, who finished in 15th place in a time of 20 minutes, 22.4 seconds. The men's team finished in 8th place, led by John Clark, who finished in 32nd place in a time of 31 minutes, 9.78 seconds. This week's SAC Athletes of the Week are Kate Labos and John Clark. Labos netted 3 goals in 2 games for the Tomcats last week. As of October 5th, Labos is tied for 6th in the PAC in goals with 5 and tied for 9th in points with 11. Clark's 32nd place finish at W&J Invitational was the 3rd time this season he was the highest placing Tomcat. Coming up this week, on Wednesday, the women's tennis team will host St. Vincent at 3 p.m., and the women's and men's soccer teams will play a doubleheader at Alumni Stadium against St. Vincent starting at 4 p.m. On Thursday, the women's volleyball team will travel to La Roche College to take on the Redhawks at 7 p.m. On Saturday, the men's and women's cross-country teams will compete in the Storm Invitational hosted by Lake Erie College starting at 11 a.m. The women's volleyball team will take on Chatham and St. Vincent in a tri-match in Pittsburgh starting at noon. Then, finally, the men's and women's soccer teams will host a conference doubleheader against Waynesburg at Alumni Stadium starting at 1 p.m. Thank you for watching. My name is Garret England. Make sure you follow all your favorite Tomcat sports teams at home and on the road by logging on to TealAthletics.com and on social media at Thiel Athletics.